Oh my God, what story I'm about to tell today. Ugh.
I know you're talking about me, your brain escape, but for me you make me act.
Hey guys, it's Omar. It's your friendly neighborhood black woke queer guy, and I have a story for you today. Now, my LGBT tag video, I kind of talked briefly about my childhood experiences being a queer man and really kind of growing up and realizing that, hey, I'm a little bit different. I have certain urges that go against the normal, like cisgender, heteronormative ideals that are set about our cisgender, heteronormative, white patriarchal society. My childhood was very confusing, my adolescence was very confusing, and my young adult years were very confusing in terms of sexuality. But I eventually learned to realize that you like both, and you have more of an attraction to dudes than you probably do to women, which is totally fine. Now, one of the stories that I'm going to tell you is a little bit funnier. I've realized over the past few weeks, my stories have been kind of like much more serious. One of the stories I want to tell you was something that was funny, that's lighthearted. It still has to revolve around me being an LGBT guy, but it's when I discovered gay porn for the first time. I'm gonna be very honest with you, I wasn't really sexually active until I was a little bit later in life. I didn't lose my virginity until college. I didn't really know a lot about sex until I was like 13, 14 years old. You may not realize it, but I was very much a late bloomer in terms of like personality and knowing things that a lot of other kids knew when they were like 11 or 12. I didn't know until I was like 13 or 14. When I was probably like a child, I didn't necessarily have any reservations about my sexuality. It didn't really kind of come to the forefront until middle school. Because in middle school, that's when I actually had my first crush on a guy, and that's also the time when I discovered gay porn. So I'll take you back to that day of when I discovered it. Back then, I kind of like knew about porn a little bit. I mean, most of the porn I watched was straight porn, but also I wasn't necessarily like getting off because I was 12 years old. I didn't really know that much about jerking it at that time. And also, I'm from a black Christian background, and they didn't necessarily demonize sex or demonize porn or anything like that. I wouldn't come up to my mom or my aunt or my dad or brother and talk to them about my like urges that I have, because it's kind of like controversial and it's not necessarily super accepted there in terms of like a 12-year-old kind of like having an erection, or me being 12 and saying, I like this boy at school, and this girl at school is cute, but this boy at school is cuter, and he gets me hard. If you're around my age, I'm like 24. HBO on Thursday nights would have this show called Real Sex, and if you stayed up around like maybe 10 to 11 o'clock, or maybe 12 o'clock, I can't remember, you would see this like sex documentary where they would kind of show you like different forms of sex and like different sexual like activities or oddities within sex. And most of it was like straight porn, but there's also segments where they were gay or lesbian. Now, lesbian porn never really fascinated me because obviously I like dudes, and doesn't necessarily get me off. I remember actually when I was maybe 10 or 11, I stayed up because I was fascinated by the idea of sex. I was growing. I was like coming into my own. Ew, that's disgusting. That's gross. I watched Real Sex because I just felt awkward talking to my mom about it, or my brother about it, because my brother would have told my mom, and it really would have not ended super well. I want to say I was 12 and it was over the summer, and over the summer I could stay up because I had nothing to do. I saw that it was coming on, so I was like, let's do this. I thought it was gonna be some like hetero thing, but it was two men together. And I remember, instead of like not getting excited or not finding it attractive, I found it very attractive. It was basically a video about two gay for paid people. So I saw that and I was like, why am I getting kind of excited over this? I'm confused. And that's why I kind of blamed it on hormones and just me growing up, because I didn't necessarily realize that I was queer or I liked dick at the time. I watched the whole segment. I went to bed after that, and I just remember feeling super confused. Like I said, I had this crush on this guy that I thought was admiration. I was growing up. I was super awkward in middle school, and now I find these two guys attractive. So what's happening to me? About a couple months later, it was right when Teen Titans came out originally, and I was obsessed with the show. I was very nerdy, so I would kind of get online and like read wikis of like the characters. I remember I was looking at the character Jinx, and I was looking her up, and I kept going farther and farther and farther back on the Google search history, and I ended up coming to this site that I didn't read it phonetically. I thought it read as analpits, and what it actually read, it was anal pals. So my dumbass kind of got on there and clicked it, and of course there was a warning saying he had to be 18 or over to actually access his website. Instead of giving my mom's permission, I was like, yeah, I'm 18, even though I'm a smooth 12. And I got onto the site, and the first thing I saw was a white guy completely spread eagle, asshole in the air, dick hanging out. And I was like, oh my God, I didn't know it was like that down there. When I saw two guys having sex in real sex, it's explicit, but it's not. They don't show the hardcore aspect of it. I saw more than I expected. It was a lot more than I bargained for. I mean, wow. I mean, I saw their shave tracks. It was wow. But like, it blew my mind. And as, like I said, as a kid who knew who was coming to his own, it got me erect. I was home alone at the time. No one was in the house with me, and instead of just like clicking off of it and feeling kind of like bad that I accessed this website, I decided to click on more links. I heard my mom coming in. I completely clicked off of it, cleared the history, and was like, no, I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm just looking at Robin kick like the Hive's ass on Teen Titans. She was like, oh, you're being such a good child. And I'm like, yeah, I just saw a guy jerk it. It was always in the back of my mind. About a few months later, I was in 7th grade at the time. It was a weekend. My brother was going out of town to visit my cousin. My cousin at this time was in college in Greensboro. So I had the whole room to myself. I had the computer to myself, and I could do whatever I want. So I was like, let's get back on that website because I'm horny. So I ended up kind of finding the website again. I just remembered it. I committed this shit to memory, dude. And I was like, you know what? Let's do this. I got back on there and I found more links. And this is with the time when masturbation was very new to me. I had a very, very like negative view of it. Whereas now it's like, shit. I mean, hey, you gotta jerk off. You need to get that shit off your chest or on your chest. You never know. I thought it was dirty. I thought it was immoral because, like I said, Black Christian background, but it was making me excited, and it was bringing me to the point of like pre-cuming. It's so weird talking about this when I was like 12 years old. I feel very weird talking about that. I just remember I spent literally like 5 or 6 hours just looking at like short clips of videos and pictures and consistently getting excited, but at the same time feeling very confused. What my background taught me and what the religion I was at that time taught me, what I was doing was immoral, what I was doing wasn't right, but my natural urges are saying it's totally fine. So I got off to a lot of that gay porn. I mean, now, obviously, I'm a grown man, I'm 24. This was 12 years ago. This was like literally half my life ago. And now, of course, as a grown man, I watch porn. I watch gay porn quite often, and I totally enjoy it and get off to it. But back then, I felt so bad and so dirty about it, and it was just so awkward. My brother ended up coming back a little bit early, and I remember I had all these sites like lined up, and it was just like I didn't have any time to clear the history. He was kind of coming back in, and he ended up bringing my cousin too, which really freaked me out because my cousin was older. My cousin was 18 at the time, so he would probably know. He got on there, but he kind of ignored all of like the dirty sites, which was like really strange, and didn't say anything. But I was freaking out, and he never like, for some reason, never like clicked on them. But in the back of my mind, I kind of believed that he did. Like, he kind of had to click on them because some of those sites were very explicit, and you can tell by like the titles that it was literally gay porn. I remember for a while after that, I've had this very weird back and forth with like gay porn. I'd watch straight porn, but I would like throw in a solo or throw in some videos of like Brent Corrigan or throw in a video of Tiger Tyson. I felt bad about it at times because I was like, I didn't necessarily understand where it was coming from, where these urges were coming from, until I grew up and understood that, hey, you were born like this. There's just nothing wrong with you. You just like men. But yeah, that's my first time of watching and experiencing gay porn, and it was just, I a motherfucking nightmare. But that's my video for today, guys. You should follow my social media links below. I have a Twitter, Snapchat, Tumblr, and Instagram below. I've been getting a couple of followers from my YouTube, and I've actually really kind of liked it. It's been kind of fun, and I thank you guys for subscribing. Remember to hit that subscribe button down there or down there, I don't fucking know. And remember to like my videos. That's pretty much it for today. I'll be back next week with another video. Hopefully you guys found this video funny, and I will see you guys later. You be out. Bye.